bienvenue. Welcome to this podcast, and we can just jump right in. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Hugo Lefaudeux. I am a actor, little, um, but a director of many movies. One of them is Versus, my new film, which took place in Paris and London. And I am very happy to be here to talk with you.
Wow. Well, we're glad you're here. That is very exciting. You have a new movie coming out. And how did you begin your directing and producing journey? What was that like?
Um, the start of my film career was, I have to say, very unexpected. In fact, I'd always like to watch films for pleasure without ever really analyzing the artistic creations and performance of the actors, and without really imagining all that could be behind a simple film on the screen. Um, During the COVID-19 pandemic, we couldn't go out, and the whole world came to
Right.
a standstill. At that time, I had the opportunity to watch and finish the Netflix series Narcos about
Oh,
Pablo Escobar, the famous Colombian drug trafficker.
mhm.
Um, and the world of the series fascinated me, from the sets and costumes to the performance of the actors and the script based on the real life on Pablo Escobar. Um, Instead of doing nothing and getting buried, I should
Right.
not write a film script, and see where it takes me, little by little. A script and dialogues emerged. I had enough material to make a series, and I decided to contact around 30 friends to convince them to take part of this project, a series of 6 episodes called Plata. Um, and after shooting began and last 1 month, and I wanted to test my acting skills, as well as being the director of the film. So
Mhm.
I was the main actor in this series. But it was very complicated because I had to be behind the camera,
Right.
directing the actors and organizing the shoot, as well as being in front of the camera and performing as an actor. Um, if I have to talk about a little about the difficulties at the start of my career,
Yeah.
it's obviously linked to this series. Obviously, I think it was a very ambitious project,
Right.
and we didn't have any money to do
Wow.
that.
Hmm.
So everything had to be through, and we had to use our contacts. Sorry, and I had never taken a film or acting course, so it was all new to me, and I gained experience and maturity very quickly. And the role I had in Plata had to be credible, and that was very complicated because I had to play a major Mexican drug trafficker, and I was
Oh.
only 18 years old. But at the end, the project came to fruition and raked up over 60,000 views on YouTube.
That's amazing.
And yes, it was a surprise for me. And at the time, I had no intention of going into film, but as time went on, it became like a drug, and I couldn't
Like
live
an addiction, right?
without it.
An addiction? It became an addiction to you?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
An addiction. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And that's it.
Wow, well, thank you for sharing that. It's amazing that you were able to make
Yeah,
this series. It's available on YouTube. It has 60,000
yes,
plus views. And
yes, yes,
how do you spell it? Is it Plata? Plata?
yes, yes, like the money
Oh, okay.
in Spanish, plata,
Oh, all right. Well,
and it's available
okay. Which character did you play in the series? What was their name?
of my character.
Of your character, yes.
Yeah, yes, Santo.
Santo. Okay.
Yes, a Mexican trafficker. It's really linked with the Mexican cartels. This area.
Oh, okay. Slash producing begin.
Okay, a film called Favelas by Stefan Daldry and Christian Düsseldorf also had a big impact on me, and I think that when I saw this film as a child, it developed something inexplicable in me, but it was above all the Plata series that triggered my love of cinema.
Mhm.
Um, from from then on, I started watching more and more films, analyzing the actors, the performance, understanding what was at stake in the films, and looking in detail at the artistic direction
Mhm.
of the project. I built up my film culture and developed my sense of writing. That was enabled me to make the short film called Risk, in France, Risk,
What is
which
Risk
was a lot
about?
more. Hmm?
What is Risk about?
It's a short film about the story of four friends,
Mhm.
and it seems it look like individual stories, and at the end, all the characters are together and a real story about social issues.
Interesting.
Um, Yes, yes, yeah. I think it's interesting, and I think my artistic touch was visible, and that was the objectives. I also had a lead role in Risk, but it was after that project that I realized I had rather be behind the camera
Mhm.
and directing than acting. And to be honest, I don't think I am talented enough to be a great actor.
Why do
Also,
you
I
think
enjoy
that?
it. I don't know. I enjoy it, but I really prefer to bring a film to life by giving direction and advice to the actors and deciding on the direction to take. I think it's more interesting. I think.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing about that, about your passion for directing and producing.
Yeah.
That sounds really amazing. Now, about your new movie, Versus, what is it about?
Yes.
I'm sure the audience more about this movie.
Yes. I'd just like to remind you of the synopsis of Versus, so that listeners can situate and contextualize the project. To be quick on the synopsis, it's in order to move away from prostitution and expand the Paris-based clothing brand. Luca and his partner Jenna and his team travel to London to meet Hamza, a young, internationally influential fashion designer from the working class district of Kilburn in London.
Hmm.
But the collaboration between these two characters is only possible on one condition. A famous rapper, Lucas' team, his name is Cheroza, must do a featuring with a novice rapper and friend of Hamza called Sonny. The video shoot for the collaboration between the two clothing brands doesn't go according to plan because Hamza's plan past, sorry, caught up with him and compromised the success of this new Franco-British collection.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
I think it's very hard to choose a word to describe Versus, but since I have to choose one, I will
One
say
word.
yes, yes,
Mhm.
authentic, authentic, because when I was talking about naturalness, Versus is the perfect example of that in terms of the acting and in terms of what we are trying to demonstrate. Um, I think Versus is like a visual mirror of the personalities and influences of Ali Salman, the other director, and myself, with embellishments from each of the stakeholders of this project. It's like in reality, it's like a story to be told, an improbable genesis, a thread running from start to finish, wonderful encounters, the discovery of our respective cultures, an artistic mix, and happy ending in real for this cinematographic project. And versus, I think it's a dramatic movie. It's a
Oh.
dramatic movie. The plot is designed to create a captivating drama
Mhm.
with its climates and its stable moments. The plot must keep the audience on the edge, on their seats, as
Right.
they discover the decline of certain characters.
Mhm.
And the diversity of emotions is also essential to bring Versus into a dramatic dimensions. And
Mhm.
one remark more is I think Versus also follows in the tradition of social realism specific to British cinema, of which Ken
Really?
Loach, the director of Me, Daniel Blake, or the Wind Rises, is one of the masters in the field. And to conclude this part, Versus, it's also a symbolic film. It has a message to convey. We wanted to highlight and dramatize the struggles we have to overcome our vices.
Wow, you seem very passionate about this movie. That was a really great
Yes, yes, yes,
synopsis of what the movie's about, and I
yes.
hope anyone can go and watch Versus.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I hope.
you're welcome. And what are some of your favorite moments on set, directing, producing, working with the cast? What was that like?
Um, hmm, very, very interesting. On the set, it was really challenging, but very interesting. The biggest difficulty was the lack of time. The lack
Oh.
of time. For an ambitious project like Versus, the time available to shoot all the scenes was relatively short, and we had to be efficient and concentrated for 10 days. We were constantly shooting. The actors would fall asleep behind the camera waiting for their turn because we were working so hard.
Mhm.
There were 15 of us, and we all slept in the small apartment on the Abbey Road estate in London. I really want to thank the actors for being so professional on the set, and thanks to Ali Salman supports. We are able to get through all the complicated moments before, during, and after the shoot. Um, if I had to pick out a few highlights from the shoot, I had to say the barbecue scene in London, where all the actors were present for this family scene. It's typically an example of this authentic film. Um, and also shooting the, I remember shooting the scene uh, of the French arriving in London with Big
Oh,
Ben behind them really moved me, and it's one of my favorite moments. And also, I remember one scene in a club, in a nightclub,
oh, in a club.
which
Okay.
also produced some very beautiful images, and that a big impact on me because
Mhm.
there were around 70 person during this scene, and to coordinate it's very very difficult. So I when I saw how the scene turned out, I was very very relieved.
Wow, that sounds like a really exciting experience. There are a bit of challenges
Yes,
in creating the film, but in the end, you're able to make this amazing film with all these actors and in that short time frame. It was 10 days, is that correct? These?
yes,
10.
yes.
Okay.
Only 10 days. Um, um, I said 70% in London, and the rest of the shoot in Paris.
In Paris. What part of Paris?
Yes,
Which part? Yeah,
Paris, Champs-Élysées, Torah Eiffel. In the movie, there are many images of the city, especially by night. I think it creates a special atmosphere for the film.
wow. And did you shoot the Eiffel Tower? Do you also have that visual in the movie?
Yes. Obviously, yes.
Okay. Wow. And what was it like shooting the Eiffel Tower and having that kind of iconic French image in your movie?
Um, um, because the main objective of the movie is to show the audience the contrast between the English way of life and the French way of life. Um, I think that um, the French way of life and the people in France in general are a little more elegant when they
Yeah.
speak, their clothes, etc. And it was an objective to show this part of our France and to create a contrast with London. Yes. And I think the many plans of Paris and Eiffel Tower permit to reinforce and enhance this credibility.
Interesting. Well, thanks for answering that question. And are there any new
Yes.
films that you are directing or producing?
At the moment, I had to I had like to defend the Versus project in the long term and finish promoting it. I was lucky enough to take part in the Cannes Film Festival this year, and that was a great help to me in terms of my career, particularly in terms of relationship and also in terms of realizing that I really want to make film a central part of my life. Of course, I want to rewrite scripts and do projects again, but with a bigger budget. We managed to make a film lasting over an hour with very little money. only 3,000 euros. So I think this is a good way of proving that we can do great things with investment. I am lucky enough to be studying international relations in France and to be working for the French Ministry of the Interior on the topics on organized crime. This topic gives me a lot of inspiration to write a script, and I am currently looking at the best possibilities for the future, for sure.
That is amazing. Well, I hope all the best for you in your next
Thank
film in producing, directing, because you're very passionate about movies,
you. Yeah,
about making
yes.
them, about having an authentic experience within the characters. That is very inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And what are some movies that you'd recommend to the audience? French movies, American movies, any kind of movie?
Yes, I love this question. I love this question. I think, for example, Scarface of Brian De Palma or Babylon of Damien Chazelle may already be familiar to the general public, but they really are must-see films. But for films lovers, um, I recommend the film of Hong Kong director Wong Kar-wai, and more specifically Fallen Angels. It's cinema like you have never seen it before. The dynamic of the film and its cinematography are incredibly original.
Mhm.
And as a Frenchman, I have to recommend a French film
All right.
that I saw very recently. It's called his name is Un Prophète, of by Jacques Audiard, director of Emilia Perez, which was a huge hit at this year's in Cannes Film Festival. Tahar Rahim plays the main characters in Un Prophète, and which depicts French prison life and its vices. It's a very realistic movie, and I think it's my ideal cinema. And finally, I recommend the Swedish Netflix series called Snabba, which was a big influence for me on my writing of verses.
Wow. Why was that influential to your movie Versus? Why was that Swedish series?
Yes, I think Snabakash is my first influence to write verses because I think in the Snabakash series there are many groups of people, very different groups. But these people, they have the same goal, and I think the story of Versus and the story of Snabakash are linked, because, for example, in Snabakash, one of the main characters is a girl, is the woman, um, and it with a charismatic figure. So it's really interesting to see how this woman um, can overcome all the difficulties in the group of only with men, and it's the same problematic in versus.
Wow. That is very exciting. You had this influence of a Swedish series and that helped you to write verses. It
Yes,
inspired you. That is exceptional. And to wrap up this podcast,
thank you.
what is one thing you want to leave the audience? Any advice, anything at all? You can go ahead and share.
Yes. Thank you. To conclude, I really want to say to anyone listening who wants to get into film and to be part of cinema world, don't hesitate and take the chance. We I have this impression, and I think we often have the impression that it's an inaccessible world reserved for only an elite.
Mm,
But you have to take the plunge if you don't want to regret it. Yes.
exactly. That is great advice. And thank you so much, Hugo, for joining the podcast,
Thank you.
for talking about verses. It was phenomenal. Fantastique.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you
Julian.
thank you, Jana, for welcoming me for this discussion. It was very interesting. Thank you.
Merci. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and look forward to seeing all that you produce and direct in the future.